All right, so thank you for watching Versus Omnis. This episode is featuring a Great League team I didn't have time to make a video on before Great League ended. Call it the Lunge Bomb. So it's Galvantula, it's Toxicroak, and Galarian Stunfisk. So I'm leading with Toxicroak. The idea here is that I wanted to pressure with a fighter in the lead, but so many other people were doing the same thing that when I was running Obstagoon, he was getting wrecked and it was putting me in a bad spot. So I switched to Toxicroak. Now, in this particular matchup, he was meeting me on the CMP ties, so I figured at a certain point I needed to switch out, and I decided to go with Galvantula, and then he wanted to stay in, which kind of surprised me, but it allowed me to build up a bunch of energy going into the next fight, and I find whenever I can switch in and immediately launch a lunge, it's a pretty good spot. Now, I throw a lunge immediately at his shift tree, and for whatever reason, he decides not to shield and just gets annihilated. Now he does have a shield for his Galvantula, so I'm just going to lunge anyway because I just want to debuff it. And so now he's got a debuffed Galvantula going up against a full health Galarian Stunfisk, and I've got Toxicroak still chilling in the back with some energy. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. He starts off with a lunge, but at this point I'm going to put an Earthquake into him, and that should pretty much wrap this game up. So, all right, Earthquake comes. Actually, I switched out here. Not 100% sure why I did that. And I think I was thinking in the moment that he had another Pokemon still because I was so far ahead. And so I thought, okay, conserve the Stunfisk. And then it was like, oh, no. Never mind. I was going overboard on the tactics there. Okay, so next matchup. All right, I'm enjoying this team. It's really interesting figuring out like when to switch, when not to switch. It's incredibly tactical. So then I get an Altaria lead, and I feel like Altaria leads are the worst for this team. I have no like legitimately good answer for Altaria. Like the best is Galarian Stunfisk, which is not bad, but if they switch out, I'm in a really, really bad spot. Thankfully, he decides to stay in. And so I was worried that maybe once I threw, he was immediately going to jump out. So I wanted to build to 2 rock slides because I really just need health off this Altaria as quickly as possible. So I get the first one, and then he switches as I expected. Okay, so now it's the Registeel, which I can kind of see why he didn't want to switch right away. But now I'm built up. I have an Earthquake ready to go, so I get a shield. And so now I'm going for another Earthquake. I decide here it is worth committing a shield at this point because he's going to have a really, really hard time farming me down. So I decide to save the Earthquake, though. I'm like, I'm going to eat shields with the Toxicroak now since I thought maybe I was going to need the Stunfisk to help me with that Altaria down the road. So again, I'm willing to put shields into this because now I think I can just farm him down and go in with loaded energy. And since I'll have an actual Sludge Bomb, but then he comes in with something I did not expect. And I know I'm going to go down to the confusion really fast. So I'm like, launch the Mud Bomb as fast as I can. But I feel like I've got a pretty good counter here with the Galarian Stunfisk, or not with the Galarian Stunfisk, but with the Galvantula. And so he goes down pretty quick to it, and then this guy's not going to be able to stand up that much longer to what I have left. So he does bulldoze, but I still have double rock slides ready to go. So that's going to pretty much close this one out. He does have a shield, but he's going to take the other lock side to the face as well. So ends up being really close, all things considered. But yeah, it's like my team matched up pretty well with him outside of the leads. And so, yeah, that one was certainly a stressful game. I did not know how that was going to go. Okay, now Clout X9. That's an interesting name. All right, let's see what we got in this one. All right, and Mew lead. Now, this one is weird because I actually kind of panicked because I thought I was going to take Confusions and I forgot. I was like, oh yeah, he's going to be running Shadow Claw, so it's actually fine. So I switched, but then he switches as well. I think he just wants to like use up the health of this Pokemon that would take super effective from counter, but it ends up being a pretty bad matchup for him anyway. And so at this point, I'm thinking maybe he comes back in with a Mew, and then I might be able to get off double lunges. And I do get the lunge, get the shield. Now I'm like, I'm gonna hit him with another lunge. I'm thinking I'm gonna willing to shield here because, and then he switches into a Zoomeril, which is feels even worse. This is some he did not have an answer for Galvantula because then I'm able to lunge him and I'm going to be able to get a discharge on him as well. So that gets the last shield. I'm feeling pretty confident at this point because now I can come in. I was thinking I'm probably going to have to eat a big move here since he has built up, so I didn't want to switch into the Toxicroak right away. And then, boom, immediately switch into the Toxicroak. I'm going to go straight for the Sludge Bomb, and that's going to finish off the Azumarill. And if I'd done it the opposite direction, I think he's going to just one shot, and then I don't have the super effective from my Toxicroak. So, all right, Mud Bomb, that just about finishes up Mew. Now I'm going to eat a move to the face, but I do still have the Stunfisk in the back, so I'm feeling pretty good. We both have like a shred of health and like KO each other, but I still have Galarian Stunfisk, which with like maybe a third of its health and a move ready to go. So that was pretty decisive. Okay, continuing on, Shade Logic. So if you guys are enjoying this video, I'd love any comments, questions. If you've tried something like this, see, this is another reason why I switched off of running Obstagoon. I was just seeing too many fighters in the lead. Since he decided to stay in here, I thought that Toxicroak might be really strong in something in the back, so I wanted to conserve as much health as possible. So I was willing to shield there, since I knew I was going to have moves ready to go and he was going to be down a Pokemon. Then he comes in with the Charizard. I'm like, I'm just going to switch. But neither of his Pokemon in the back are fantastic against Galvantula. So this actually works out just fine. So at this point, I am losing health pretty fast. And then, unfortunately, with some lag, I'm not able to get to the lunge. That, I have to admit, in the moment, I was a little upset about that. So here, I'm going to drop the Mud Bomb on him right away. I want to take as little damage as possible. He comes back in with the Charizard. I know he's going to shield here, so I'm just going to throw the Mud Bomb in hopes that I can get to a second one, which I do. If I had gone for the Sludge Bomb, then it'd be the one shield, and I'm not getting to another move. But that almost finishes him off right there. I still have a shield, and I come in with a full health Stunfisk, and that's it. I think he even stopped attacking there. I think he knew at that point it was pretty much done. Okay, so feeling pretty good. This has been a good set so far, but there are still some really hard counters for this team, and it's easy to make mistakes with this. Even though I'm showing you some of the winning sets, I also had some pretty bad ones. So, all right, again, I don't know how. Like, I don't see any Alterias until I start playing this team, and I'm just like, okay, this time I'm like, I think he might switch out. I can't depend on him to stay in, so I'm going to switch over to the Galvantula and hope that he stays in here. It's not the best situation, but again, my team's just weak against Altaria, so I just got to do what I can. And to see like how much effort is he willing to put into protecting this Altaria. And here I'm actually coming out of this okay. I am not going to shield in this spot. Well, actually I do shield. That kind of surprised me. I think I should have finished off with a different Pokemon, but I figured I had just enough health that I was able to get to another move, maybe two, and so it ended up being worthwhile. Because I love being able to like throw a lunge right as a new Pokemon comes in. That always feels good. So at this spot, I'm actually feeling pretty good. He's gonna hit me hard, but the Mud Bomb is definitely going to chew up this health. It's not going to be quite enough to finish it off, but now I'm hoping I can just counter down, which I can. So, but he's got a Machamp that... Shadow Machamp is rough. Shadow Machamp in the back is really rough for me. So I'm able to get to a Rock Slide, but he still has a shield left, so I really have to get to another one. So the question is, can I get to one? But he's going to get off his charge move, so that's gonna wrap up that game. Yeah, I can absolutely struggle with Machamp in the back, especially Shadow Machamp with a shield. So, all right. So I think that was a 4-in-1 set. So that was fun. So got one more set for you guys. Again, I was having a lot of fun with this team back in Great League. It's hard. It's a little stressful to play at time. But that was a nice lead. And then he switches into... All of a sudden, the Pokemon's escaping the name. Sableye, and even though I've got one powered up and ready to go for Great League, but I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna be able to eat him with the lunges, and he does not shield. He's willing to just sacrifice the Sableye. He comes back in with the Probopass. I'm thinking I'm willing to throw one lunge. I know it's going to do less, but I want to debuff his damage output. And then we get a little bit of lag, but I'm still able to get to a discharge as well. So now I've got him debuffed, and I'm going to be able to soften him up quite a bit. I wanted to switch at that point, but he's able to get off the Rock Slide, but I'm like, it's okay. I'm not going to conserve. I don't need to worry about that health. So he switches into his own Toxicroak. I'm going to throw a move here. All right, at this point, we're even on shields. I'm a little ahead on energy. Or actually, I think technically he's a little ahead. So I'm like, okay, gonna throw another Mud Bomb here. He should only be like 1 or 2 counters away from throwing his. And so I'm gonna switch into the Stunfisk now because the Croagunk, the Toxicroak is going to be pretty fantastic if I can launch it into the Probopass in the end. And so I'm like, okay, I should be able to finish this off with a Rock Slide here. Even though it's not very effective, it is able to finish it off. But he's got so little health left on the Probopass that he ducks out. All right, yeah, but that was good lead win. Weird switch there. But I mean, Sableye's not a bad safe switch, but feels like it can be rough in this meta. So this is a really weird lead for me. Like I can win these sometimes depending on how they play out. So I'm gonna shield the first Hydro Cannon. It just hits too hard. And what I'm gonna build up to is get close to the Sludge Bomb. Usually I wait until I actually hit it, but I bumped it just a little too soon. I know they're gonna shield the first one either way. And so now I'm going to shield again. He switches, which I thought was kind of interesting. So now I'm just going to throw the Sludge Bomb so I can either get the last shield or take the health. So now I can line up the Galarian Stunfisk versus the Jigglypuff. Or Wigglytuff. I'm forgetting which evolution it is now. Wigglytuff. Perfect. Okay, so I think here I should have possibly thrown an Earthquake, but I was thinking that it was possibly going to take 2 moves because I wasn't sure my fast moves were going to be doing enough. And so I figured it might be slightly more efficient to take him out with 2 Rock Slides. But I could have been wrong there. Here I panicked. I couldn't remember exactly how much energy he had left, and so I threw a Rock Slide, but I definitely could have gotten to the Earthquake. And I should have been patient and should have waited and then just done the Earthquake. Because that ended up making this closer than it needed to be. But I'm able to punch him down. He's still got a Melmetal in the back. So I'm going to throw this Mud Bomb. And I know he's just going to keep farming. So I was like, let me get in the Galvantula. I know I'm going to take a Rock Slide here and it's going to hurt. But I just barely survive and then finish him off with a Volt Switch. So that definitely should have been much less close if I had just thrown the Earthquake on the Swampert. So little mistakes, little things to try to like work on. All right, so Kira Gremory, 29. I'm gonna guess she's 29. All right, Flygon. I'm like, my whole team is bad against Flygon. This guy, if he double shields the Flygon, he might wreck my whole team if I'm not careful. So I'm going into the Stunfisk. I was concerned that I would need the Croagunk more likely, the Toxicroak in a later matchup. And so I wanted to, if I was going to lose a bunch of health and lose a Pokemon early, I wanted it to be the Galarian Stunfisk in this case. So at this point, I'm just throwing Rock Slides, just seeing like what health I can chunk off of this thing. And now I've gotten through the shields. I get off one more Rock Slide, which is great, but I know that I'm about to go down to an Earth Power any moment. So that chews up a fair amount of his health. Now I'm okay with this because he's going to take out the Stunfisk, but I can come back in with the Toxicroak and just counter him down. He's kind of a chewy Pokemon, and this works out great because now I can Sludge Bomb right away, and he doesn't have any shields left. So now I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm going to switch to Galvantula, start farming right away. He switches into Registeel. So now the not switching makes a little bit more sense. So I'm going to be able to take out a huge amount of the Registeel's health with just the Galvantula. But at this point, I am going to take a flash cannon, but it's not going to take me out. I still have too much health left, which puts him in a really bad spot. So now I'm able to Volt Switch down, and I get to the discharge before the Azumarill can do anything. So I don't know, he just probably should have conserved the... he really needed to keep the ground attacks, and so, you know, what are you going to do? All right, so next matchup, Dan Max 84. Okay, Venusaur lead. I'm actually totally okay with that. I'm going to take not very effective damage from most of his attacks. He switches into the Toxicroak. Now, I'm loaded on energy, so let's stay in here for the moment. He does not shield, so now I'm like, okay, let's farm him down, because now I'm concerned that I may not have a great use for the Galvantula in the back. So he comes back in with the Venusaur. Again, anytime that I can start off with lunges on near full health Pokemon is great. So I do get the shield. Here is where I could have shielded but I was thinking I was just going to take the one and didn't need to preserve him long term. So I get another lunge off. And so this is going to be a pretty nerfed Venusaur at this point. And this is where maybe if I had shielded the first one and then I was taking one here, I could have had a lot of health left. But I wanted to save one shield, and now I'm into Azumarill. A little bit of lag, but not too bad. But again, whenever they switch into an Azumarill, when I'm already loaded on energy with Toxicroak, it feels real good. I wanted to switch here, but then I was just a little bit too slow. So I decided to shield the Ice Beam because, again, I want to hold on to my health. So I decide I'm just going to finish him off with the Galarian Stunfisk, just in case I still need the Toxicroak. I've run into too many matchups where not having the Toxicroak at the end has hurt me. And so if I don't see something, if I don't see the perfect situation, I like to hold on to him. But now I was able to toss an Earthquake into the Venusaur, and it didn't really matter that I saved the Toxicroak. But I like having a Lunge Bomb stored up. Okay, so Pepe Tac 8. Okay, great lead. Toxicroak loves seeing a Galarian Stunfisk right off the bat, because I'm just going to go into moves faster than he is. And he switches into the Azumarill, and so I'm just going to switch right over to Galvantula. This gets real bad for him real quick, because now, like, the Galvantula is not great into the Stunfisk anyway. Here, I decide not to shield. I know that I'm going to be able to survive what he's throwing, and now I'm going to farm down, and that'll get me at a lunge right away. And he brings in his Granbull. Surprised me a little bit, but now I'm able to get that last shield. Now I'm going to come in with my Stunfisk and know that not only is he kind of like already nerfed on his damage output, but it lets me build up to a bunch of energy, and then he comes in with his Stunfisk. And so now I think he realized that that was going to go really bad for him really fast. So now I have 2 shields, and I'm pretty sure this game is already over. I knew he was going to throw a Rock Slide there, but I'm going to shield anyway. I think the better play for him would probably to have been to just throw the Earthquake and hope that I don't shield, or I guess he was hoping that maybe I over farm or something and allow him to get to another move. But having a Fairy type against the Toxicroak with, Sludge Bomb nearly ready to go, not a great situation. So that closes up that game, and I believe that wraps up. So that ends up closing out with a 5-0 set. I really love this team, so if any of you want to try it out when Great League comes back, go for it. It's super fun, but it is a lot about learning when to switch. So try it out, have some fun, and again, thank all of you for subscribing and watching to the videos, and I'll see you in the next video, nerds. Later.